It's the next day out here, and obviously I am up in our dryer getting stuff ready. There's some beans that weren't quite ready today, a little too wet yet. I'm taking some time to get the bend site set up, all everything get greased up, ready to go, get it cleaned up so we can dump some corn. I got a bone to pick with Sukup. This is ridiculous. It's such a little simple thing you gotta do every season, and it shouldn't be that hard. Every one of these drying fans, each side has a greasable bearing. The two fans above this, easy peasy, easy to grease. This one, it's got a shield over it. I'm like, okay, it's fine, it's got a shield. But they didn't even make these slots big enough to get a grease gun tube in there to get that little Zerk grease. Kind of a pain. So the good news is you only have to grease these beginning of each season. Majority of the bearings and everything are easy and simple to get to. Two fans above this had a door. Hey, good idea. Here's our solution. We just cut a little bit of the shield out. I'm already done greasing it. Now it's easy to get your hand in there year after year. Sukup, if you need a tip, here you go.
Put a little access door in.
Make it a little, either put a door on there or make a hole so you can grease that bearing. 3 more to go. The other side dog doesn't have the belt and all that stuff for the shield. So this Zerk was super easy. There should only be one more shield we gotta cut on the far end. Second shield is cut. Easy to get to now.
Hey, Elio, what are we doing? Down in the pit, the dungeon as we call it, you can see we got a little water, so no matter what you do when you build a pit, you're gonna have water. We got a sump pump down in there, sucking the water out. There is a tile that goes to the ditch, but I stuck my hand in there and it felt like it was plugged off or something. So once we get this sucked down, we're gonna see what's going on in there. Yeah, it's all right. What's going on down there? Why is there water down there? I don't think the tile's in this pit, Dad.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Yeah, I think that was a bad design.
It's right here, I think.
It should have been a pull plug and pull it. What was like 10 gallon water in there?
Oh, way more than that.
20, how more are you done?
15 maybe.
What are we doing, Badger?
Well,
What are we doing?
we ran out of dry beans or beans that were ready. And that's what happens when you go 2.0 to a 2.8. I mean, we knew that. You never know with the growing year. You gotta do something for 2 or 3 days. And so we're here picking a small field of corn. This was actually like one of the first fields I planted.
Cemetery farm.
Oh yeah, the cemetery in the middle of the field, going like 6 mile an hour, and literally it was raining. And then I regret it when I got home because I had to dig the planter out the next day, like 2 hours of mud.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, it's a great time digging mud out of the planter. You know what? I got a new theory.
What's that?
If you're not digging mud out of the planter, that means you don't have enough moisture. So it's a good thing to be digging mud.
You heard it from Badger.
Yeah.
Plant in the mud.
Yeah.
It's good moisture.
Yeah.
Guaranteed moisture.
I think next year we need to plant our 2.8s first and then plant the 2.0s, and they'll catch each other, and then it'll just be like 10 days of bean harvest done. I remember one year I planted 2.8s first and we ended up combining them first.
It's probably what you should do.
That was a weird phenomenon.
I'm not sure why everybody says plant your early beans early and your late beans late.
I don't comment. What do other people do?
That doesn't make sense, but that's what everybody says.
I mean,
to
we
do.
start cutting beans, we want to cut them, be done. Let's get on corn and never look back. Now you're like
switching back and forth. Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm going to compare it to like riding the bus. One day you ride the bus. One day you don't get up early enough. Your mom and dad's upset with you. And they miss the bus, and then you got to take them to school.
Only a few times.
You just get out of rhythm. It's like ride the bus. Have your parents take you. It's like cutting beans. Cut all the beans, be done. Anyway, we're just rambling. You know what?
We're picking corn.
We're picking corn. We're doing something.
That's right.
Do something.
Yeah, here we are, picking some corn.
Just out here in a little 15-acre field. Corn monitors reading 22 to 23%. It's dry enough to the point where it's manageable. This field is not, the greatest soil and fertility. It's kind of one of those farms where, like, people like to call them budget farms per se, but I think it has some potential, some better fertility programs. Harvesting it here at 22% actually might be kind of beneficial. We may get a little yield bump. Finally, everything's done getting greased. Now I'm running through the dryer, make sure it's all good. I'm doing a dry fire. What I mean by dry fire is that I'm running the burners without any corn in it, just to make sure they're all working. I already did the first fan. I like to do each fan individually, so you can make sure everything on that fan and burner is good. First one was good. Checking number 2 right now. You can hear down there's a fan running. Pushes air up here. Then on this top part, there's a burner. If you look through this little glass, right here you can see a flame. Having that little glass is nice because you can look in there and be like, yep, there's obviously a flame going. And you just let it run for a while. Let the system do its own little self-checks, make sure everything's running good. Do each fan individually.
Come in here and look at the screen. Since I'm only doing fan 2, it gives me a green check mark that every aspect of that fan is working. I'm not sure what these first 2 or 3 actually specifically mean, but they're all green, which is good. This is confirming that it's getting heat, and this is confirming that a flame is ignited. Once I'm done with this fan, then I'll go ahead and do fan 3 and then do fan 4. That way I know all fans are working like they should before I put any corn in the dryer. We had some corn that was getting down in the low 20s moisture. So we're like, hey, why not maybe switch to corn, do some few small patches, make sure the combine's working right in corn, get a few loads in, get the dryer full, make sure it's all working right. When we do get full into corn, hit the ground running, don't have any hiccups.
Picking corn on September 27th. Wowzer, Billy. Unloading the first cart of corn for the 2022 harvest. Oh, corn. Geez, this stuff, I don't know. Feels pretty moist. Pretty moist. But looks clean. First load of the season is going into the beach. You hear that? Get the dryer full. Hear that corn going into there. Well, there's the pit. Got the first load dumped. I had to use our secondary pit today because this overhead door is not cooperating and won't work right. So luckily, we have the second lane, single dump. We're just gonna utilize that, which no big deal, not in a hurry. It's not like we gotta dump 50 trucks today anyway. Just taking it slow. Hopefully we can get that overhead door fixed before we get heavy into corn harvest. Got the first load in there. Come up here, hit the bottom of it. Oh yeah, she's got corn in her. It'll take at least 4 loads to get the dryer full before I start running the burners and actually drying corn. I like to point out one of the few downsides of this dryer is anytime you fill it for the first time of the season, when it's empty, the corn really bounces around in there because it's all loose, it's not packed full, and you get little bits of corn on the ground. It's not crazy. That's why it's essential that once you get this dryer full, you want to keep it full the whole season. You don't want to empty it out at the end of the day and have to refill it constantly. You just keep it full. If you're done drying at the end of the day, you shut it off. You leave it full. Once you get more corn, and you run it in. You just keep it flowing. So not a huge deal. Gives you something to do in the middle of the day. You don't have much to do. Sweep a little bit of corn up, throw it back in the bin. So we're just gonna keep going here until we get this dryer full. Don't know if we'll get it full tonight, but see what happens. Well, that's a wrap for the first field of corn for the year. We're gonna head right down the road. There's another 30 acres. Gonna get started on that. Just a beautiful little layout of a 30-acre field up on this slope. There's really a pretty country in through here. This out a few miles that way is what they call the Mormon Ridge.
It's kind of a big ridge plateau in our area, and it's kind of a little bit neat scenery. If you go that way about 4 miles, it's about as flat as can be. Then you come back this way east, it starts to get a little rolling, a little hilly, a little bit of timber. The tale of time, will he make it to the end? Oh, the corn's a little bit wetter, so it likes to pile up. Look at that big old heaping pile. Oh yeah. Corn definitely a little bit wet. Green. See how the combine's doing? Not too bad. Just a couple kernels every little bit. You're gonna have that. On this farm in particular, we've been noticing along this bottom draw, along this hillside, the corn's doing really well. Up on the top of the hills, you can tell the corn's struggling a lot. It's a night and day difference. And I've also noticed in those spots where the corn isn't as good, it's a little more inconsistent and the combine doesn't combine as well. It'll blow a little more corn out the back and there'll be a little bit of kernels stuck on the cob still, just because you got inconsistent cob sizes versus all this good consistent stuff down throughout here. It's just amazing how fast something can change throughout a landscape of a farm, even if it's only a 30-acre farm. Hey, it's Mom! Food! Food! Yay! Yay! Got corn.
3, 2, 1. We have blast off.
Crawl right out. See you in the funnies. Oh, honey badger. He is a kid in a candy store. Oh, do you hear that? Are you guys auger up or auger down, people? Comment below. I'm typically an auger up. Oh, bump. Oh, hold on. Easy now. Sometimes we'll fold them down. We got one semi that's got super tall stacks, so in that case I always put it down. We are at a smaller farm with trees around, so it's probably wise to put it down. So we're just gonna put it down. Here we go. Look at all the cows. So beautiful in the pasture. Tree lines in the horizon. Alfalfa. More trees. Corn. Combine. You know, it's kind of weird. Most of my life growing up with the grain cart, I've always ran with 12-row, and 12-row with 2 carts can keep you humping and good corn. With the 8-row and some so-so corn, it's a little slow. So it's just a little bit different change of pace, a little slower. That's all right. Just a little more relaxing that way. We're gonna load the last load for the night. Combine Throwing a code. Imagine that. Area 21. Season 2.
Load 4. Several years ago. Oh my God, we gotta glue that together. Hey!
That one's way better
So
anyway.
last year we tried doing it. We weren't sure. This here needs to down to about 1 inch.
That's trash.
This is awesome. Look at that. Look at the leverage. Look at this. Look at this. Got leverage. Balance is right there.
This just needs to be a little bit smaller hand out there. It says that. Are you laughing at me or are you laughing at the...
I'm not laughing.
Look at that. Look at the leverage on that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oops, great. Still in corner here. Gonna have mice in here. 22.3. Nice.
Pete, the new double catwalk with stairs. Wow, look at that. We do have the new overhead up. We got the spout plumbed in, I guess you could say. Just got to get the extension down and the thing will be ready to go. Also new for this year, we have buttons for the pits right next to the pit. No more having to go inside, turn it on. There's the other one for this pit.